Thank you. Thank you very much. That clock is 30 seconds slow, just so you know. It's 7 o'clock in iPhone time. Welcome, everyone, to our regular meeting of Oak Bay Council for the 24th of October. Please note that this is being video recorded and actually live streamed. So some of you at the front will have your heads seen at the back, so to speak. So we have an amended agenda, and I think we should have a motion to proceed on the amended agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you very much. We first of all have the minutes of the public hearing, which was held on the 11th of October, please.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Changes? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you. Council meeting minutes from the same date, October 11th, please.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you. Next one is Committee of the Whole, October 17th, the minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Not opposed. Thank you. Then the Special Committee of the Whole, and I think there's 3 of them there, September 23rd, October 5th, and October 21st, please.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you very much. My remarks. Just get my iPad in place here. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming tonight. There's a number of events that you should know that are coming up. And the first is the closure of the street on Oak Bay Avenue for Halloween. Merchants have been doing this for, I think this is the second year or third year. Second year, very successful, great safety place for the kids to trick or treat up and down the main street. And if you have dogs, there will be a dog costume contest, Halloween costume. And Remembrance Day is, again, taking place at the Cenotaph, and I think under new business, I think we'll hear from an update report from Councillor Renee on that, and we invite everyone to attend. And we won't have any meetings between now and then. That's why that announcement is fairly early. Volunteer application process. We have committees and boards and commissions. There is a variety of openings on them. You can find it on the website. And the application deadline is the 15th of November. So if you or anyone you know is interested, please do apply and be part of that. And another welcome announcement, and that is welcome to we have a new manager of human resources. Bonnie Donnelly is our newly appointed manager of human resources. She started today. Council met her. She's had an impressive career in the field, which began in Ontario and at the Sioux Lookout Health Centre, and there had a certificate in human resources management. And then she moved to BC, became manager of human resources for the city of Victoria. So she's got background in local government. And she held that for almost a decade, and then became the Director of Human Resources, Ministry of Health and Social Services for Yukon, where she no doubt enjoyed the weather up there, and then returned to Camosun College to be the human resources, a human resources person on the team there. So she joined us today, and we bid her welcome. Thank you. Yes. That's my remarks. Now we'll start with the public participation period, item number 6, please. And just to remind everyone what we do there, we invite people to come forward and state their name and what community they're from. You may have already, some of you I saw were already signing up. If you haven't signed up, make sure you get your name so we have the correct spelling there and the community. You have 3 minutes. And we allot 20 minutes of our agenda time every council meeting for this. And when you hear the beep, 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 then please wrap up whatever sentence you're in the middle of. That'll be a 3-minute warning. The clock starts when I say, welcome to you. So, anyone want to be the first?
Thank you. Stuart Culbertson, Neil Street in Oak Bay.
And welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. I'd like to take this opportunity to give you one cyclist's perspective of Oak Bay's role in the regional cycling network. First of all, I'm going to ask if everybody in this room has noticed some interesting roadworks going on Oak Bay's borders recently. This is our neighbor Saanich, which is completing a Class 1 separated bike lane around Lansdowne Public School and serving Camosun College. The construction of this bike lane is part of Saanich's commitment to the CRD regional cycling network. Oak Bay is a vital part of this regional network. Oak Bay staff participate in cycle network planning, like the CRD's Regional Pedestrian and Cycling Master Plan, as well as the development of CRD guidelines for safe cycling infrastructure. And there's a really good reason why Oak Bay should be at the table. We have one of the most active cycling populations in the region. 2011 CRD survey, 10.2% of Oak Bay's population labeled themselves as cycling commuters. That was just a little bit behind Victoria's and almost twice as much as the CRD average. However, today we face what I might call a peddler's paradox. Our cyclists are served by one of the weakest cycling infrastructures in the region. In a regional network of 339 kilometers, Oak Bay has only 2.3 kilometers of bike lanes that actually meet the CRD guidelines. If we were even to apply a simple per capita measure, Oak Bay should have something like 17 and a half kilometers to match our population size. And the CRD's cycling master plan, which Oak Bay has participated in, aspires to have us have 25 kilometers of cycling paths, including some priority regional projects along Bowker Creek and Oak Bay. Simply by eliminating the time restrictions on our famous part-time bike lane up Henderson, Oak Bay could add 25% to its existing network. At present, these bike lanes are only open for about a third of each week, given that the parking restrictions are on during the evenings and the weekends. So by any measure, it's my view that Oak Bay is not bearing its share of the regional network. Our avid cycling population reaps the benefits of other investments in neighboring municipalities as they cycle through the region. And yet when they return home to Oak Bay, the bike lanes end. So I submit we have a long way to go to meet our commitments, but fortunately, for council, no further planning is necessary on this front. Both our official community plan and the council strategic plan make very strong complete street commitments to safe cycling infrastructure. And I also understand Oak Bay's budget also contains a reserve fund of $140,000 that could be used to put paint on the roads now to improve the situation. So I'm not encouraging council to engage in a big planning exercise about cycling. All I'm doing is asking that council do what it said it was going to do in our neighborhood, put more bike lanes down now, and help us move from peddler's paradise to a peddler's paradise.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And you may know that we have recently been joined, our chief engineer recently joined us, and he's a cyclist, and he heard everything you said, and I'm sure he's reviewing or has reviewed much of that background material you referred to. So we have heard you, and I think we've heard our community, and that's why we have it in some places now. It's a matter of turning it into action. So thank you very much for addressing that issue. Go ahead. Next person, please.
Michael Prince from Oak Bay on Prospect Place.
Welcome.
I may look a little familiar because I was here last council meeting and joined by a lot of neighbors. And I want to thank council for the decision last meeting for taking an important step forward and moving forward on conserving some important community heritage resources in our district. I'm also delighted to see that your agenda tonight is chock full of heritage items and heritage decisions, and that just feels good. So thank you very much for that. I also just like to read out a sentence from the first page of the official community plan, which I think speaks to our hopes and dreams about becoming Oak Bay's first heritage conservation area in our neighborhood. It starts out by saying, Oak Bay is defined by its attractive residential neighborhoods, strong sense of community, mature tree canopy, scenic shoreline, natural environment, and historic character. And that's a pretty nice, rich definition of what is Oak Bay. And we'd like to think that our neighborhood of York Place, Prospect Place, Beach Drive, San Carlos Avenue, and a bit of Oak Bay Avenue exemplifies every single one of those characteristics of what's iconic and what's valuable and what we cherish about Oak Bay. Some of that's just by happy drift over time. Some of it's been decisions made by this council and your predecessors. But we live in challenging times, and we know there's pressures on preserving the qualities that we all love and like about Oak Bay. So when I spoke with you last time here, I was joined by about 20 or 25 neighbors. I'm happy to say that some of them are here again tonight, and some of them have signed up to be on this public participation session. So I won't say much more tonight, but just say thank you and allow them to say in their own words as they come up their hopes, their dreams, and their expectations of how to preserve what's best about Oak Bay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the buzzer didn't even go off. There you go. Thank you, Dr. Prince.
Mr. Mayor, I'm Robert Long, living at 2390. That's the east end of Oak Bay, where it turns into Prospect.
Welcome, Mr. Long.
Thank you. We bought a house only recently. It's not heritage status, but we like to think it could be, and we hope to try to restore it. We were very pleased when we first heard about this proposed Heritage Conservation Area, HCA for short. And we were again pleased when we heard that we were being supported by the Heritage Commission and then by the Heritage Foundation and their financial help. All this gives us additional incentive to restore our own house, but it's not about us. As we all know, these fine old houses exist in decreasing numbers, with 11 of Oak Bay's 28 in the HCA area. This is a real opportunity to preserve them. Let me explain. This may be surprising, but there are parallels with the biological world. To save a threatened species, habitat has to be preserved. It's the same with heritage houses. They need habitat. Habitat for heritage requires compatible houses and the same and a good streetscape to help the process. When an insensitive building appears close to a heritage house, it becomes less appreciated, less valued, and less likely to survive. Therein lies the main purpose, benefit of this HCA. This proposed HCA would be good for Oak Bay, good for heritage, and if done well, it will enhance house values. Thank you, Mayor Jensen, councillors, for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Next person, please.
Oh, hi. My name's Nancy Barnes. I live on Oak Bay Avenue, 2340 Oak Bay Avenue.
Welcome.
And thank you. I just recently learned about this idea from some of my neighbors for the Heritage Conservation Area. And I was just really delighted to hear about it, and I wanted to express that. I was born and raised here in Oak Bay. I've been traversing up and down Prospect Place for 60 years on my way to and from Willows Beach. And I think that whole section has a very magical quality to it that's dependent upon the integrity of the whole. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for Oak Bay to get started with having a heritage conservation area. I don't think there are any yet here. There are in Victoria and other areas. So I'd be just really thrilled if Oak Bay could pursue this. And I think this is something that would attract visitors and residents, and just maintaining both the heritage buildings and, as the previous speaker said, the natural setting, the whole thing. It's all of a piece. You can't really separate the bits and pieces. So I'd be very thrilled if this went forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Liza Harris, York Place. I'm
Welcome.
delighted that there could be a heritage conservation area of the spine around where we live. I come to council meetings and sometimes my attention wanders and I start looking at the sketches around the wall, and 9 of the houses in the proposed area enhance this room. So wouldn't it be wonderful if their environment could be preserved along with them in a sympathetic way? Also, I just saw on the CBC News website this evening that the BC Supreme Court has ruled that Vancouver City has the right to halt demolitions of heritage homes in the HCA in Shaughnessy. So that's good news too. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. We'll have to get an access to that new case, if it's a new case that our staff don't know about. I certainly haven't heard about it. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for this opportunity to let me to speak. My name is Sharman Minus, and I live in Prospect Place.
Thank you, and welcome.
Thank you. And I heard about this HCA from my neighbours, and I'm all in favour of it for these particular reasons. When I tell people that I live in Oak Bay, even people that aren't from this area, their first reaction is to say, oh, Oak Bay, what a jewel of a place. What wonderful houses, a stunning setting, the beach, the parks, views of Mount Baker, the mature plantings, the boulevard trees, the gardens. Aren't you lucky? If you notice in that procession of words, they start with the homes, but the rest of the sentence is all about the setting. The open-mouthed tourists that are crammed into the double-decker tour buses that go up and down our streets, right up until last week I saw, are gawping at the buildings, but also at the setting. And that's the point. It's setting. If I had a handful of rubies, diamonds, and sapphires and took them to a party, so what? I need a setting. I need something fabulous to set them off. The setting is as important as the stones, and in this case, the setting is as important as the houses. That's what the Heritage Conservation Area does. It preserves the setting of those building gems, which is intrinsic to their appearance. While a homeowner can get a heritage designation or registration for his home, he can do nothing outside of his lot. Currently, there are 70 HCAs in the province of BC. The City of Victoria has 9, and as the previous speaker said, Vancouver has just got 1 in Shaughnessy. Oak Bay, who prides itself on its variety of heritage buildings of different styles and eras, doesn't have a single one. It's high time we did, and what better place to start than in the area that Francis Rattenbury designed as the first suburb. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To anybody else? All right. Thank you very much to all the speakers. And not only council heard you, but staff heard you. And this is a process that will be working its way through our various public engagement steps, and we'll be hearing back from commissions and the like. So thank you very much for keeping this in the forefront. Council, I now want to go on to item number 7, which is all about a bonfire. And this one here for the Sea of Lights. I know there's some from the Yacht Club here if we have any questions. And this is an annual event. I can't remember how many years have we had this. Do you remember, Commodore?
Yes, past Commodore.
Past Commodore now.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, if you could just come to the microphone, because otherwise the people watching at home may not hear you.
Okay, that's fine.
Welcome.
And thank you very much. Yes, this has been going on for, this will be the 11th year.
11th year.
That we've done it, yes.
Yeah, it's a wonderful event, and some years we've had great weather.
Sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we don't.
But I think one year all the boats were kept in harbor. It was such a storm out there, so we'll hope for the best and plan for the worst, as they say. Any questions?
I'll
No?
make the
I'd
motion
invite
to
a
move
motion,
approval.
please.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded that it be approved. And any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? So it's time to light up on the 2nd of December. Thank you. We have the next item is, speaking of Francis Rattenbury, We are at 1701 Beach Drive, which is a development permit and heritage alteration permit application in relation to the property there, which is Mr. Rattenberry's former home. At this point here, we're talking about Ms. Jones, or maybe, Ms. Jensen, sorry. My apologies. Could you just give us a little overview and why it's on here tonight, please?
Certainly, as Council probably recalls, at their meeting of October 11th, the same application was considered at a public hearing to discharge the land use contract off of the title. There is existing zoning on the property that would allow the school to continue to function and to develop new buildings. The two separate applications in front of Council tonight relate back to that proposal, one being for a development permit area to deal with the sensitive areas, the Shorelines Development Permit Area and the Watercourse Development Permit Area. The second one would be for the heritage designation on the site, so a heritage alteration permit to allow construction of the new buildings, upgrading the existing heritage buildings and reflecting the landscape. So there are three separate variances that are attached to that heritage alteration permit to go out for notification.
Okay. And all for notification. So the motion would be to receive the reports and issue notifications. Ms. Jones?
This particular item would be that council approve the application for the development permit to allow renovations and additions to an existing heritage property at 1701 within an environmentally sensitive area, subject to approval of the heritage alteration permit with variances. So basically that is in effect subject to approval on the 14th.
On the, sorry.
On the 14th of November.
14th of November.
And that
right.
notification begin.
Yep, thank you. Someone make that motion,
I'll
please.
move the recommendation.
Thank you very much. Moved and seconded. Discussion, questions? Go ahead, Councillor Braithwaite, please.
Thank you. Can you, just through you, Mayor Jensen, ask staff, what is the requirement for notification on that? Is it a wider area than normal, or is it the normal 100 meters?
Our notification is set at 50 meters.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll call a question. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you very much. We move on to another property on beach, 1110. That is the golf course.
I have to recuse myself because I'm a member of the golf course. And
Okay, thank you very much.
I have to recuse myself as I'm a social member of the golf course.
Thank you. All right, our councillors who have withdrawn. Ms. Jensen, just a quick overview. We see your recommendation here is to lift the temporary protection order. Just give us a quick synopsis, please.
Certainly. The golf club has come forward with an application, building permit application to enclose part of the structure on the lower level of the clubhouse. Given that they are on the Heritage Register that came forward to council with a 60-day protection order, it has been reviewed by the Heritage Commission since that time, and the Heritage Commission recommends approval.
Thank you very much. So it's just, at this point, it's just lifting the order, and then the process will take its normal course behind it, right? And I see nodding. They may not be able to see that at home, though, but the answer is yes, right? Thank you.
Yes.
So the motion is the recommended motion to lift the order. Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you very much. Councillors can return. And we will be dealing with 2018 Meadow Place next. And our councillors are back in the room. As was pointed out by Dr. Prince, there was a number of items on this about heritage, and this one in particular, it's a request that the property at 2018 Meadow Place, and as particularly described in the statement of significance, be added to the Oak Bay Community Heritage Register. Is anyone here from that address? I didn't see anybody, but okay.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Seconded, thank you. Discussion, all in favor? Opposed, none opposed. And publicly, I want to commend and congratulate and thank the owners who came forward with this house. This is a kind of the spirit of heritage preservation that we love to see and encourage in for anyone who has a similar placed house. Mine was built in '48, so I'm going to have wait a little bit to come forward with that one. All right, thank you. We move on to the next one, and that is number 11. That's the Heritage Commission response to request for comments to the Housing Retention Report. Okay. We have a report there. Ms. Jensen, a quick overview, please. And we see your recommendation there set out in 3 parts. Thank you.
Certainly, this response is basically following up on Council's resolution asking the Heritage Commission to comment on the specific component of mandatory versus voluntary inclusion on the Heritage Register. That resolution was taken forward to the Heritage Commission. They have been discussing this at a number of their commission meetings so far. The end result is they've provided 2 separate responses to Council for consideration. The first being their response to the mandatory versus voluntary inclusion, and the second being a more general response in relation to the housing retention port in general. So at this point in time, staff would just recommend that they receive those reports and consider moving their responses forward to the strategic priority session and referring to the Advisory Planning Commission.
Okay, that's a 3-step process. Thank you very much. 3-part recommendation. And I think I also saw something in there that they want to abandon the terminology mandatory versus voluntary. So we can maybe stop saying that tonight as a start, although it's not part of the recommendation. Any motion to accept the recommendation? Did you want to make a motion?
I'd be pleased to. I'd like to move that the response of the Heritage Commission in respect of Council's request for consideration of mandatory versus voluntary incorporation in the Oak Bay Community Heritage Register be received for information. And of course, that report essentially says drop mandatory versus voluntary terminology. Number 2, that the response of the Heritage Commission be referred to strategic priority session. And number 3, that the report prepared by the Housing Retention Working Group be forwarded to the Advisory Planning Commission for comment.
Okay, moved, seconded. Thank you. Discussion. Go ahead, please, Councillor Zelkum and Councillor Murdoch, please.
Thank you, Chair. Very much appreciated. Yes, I'm very much thrilled that the Heritage Commission was able to share these excellent comments, essentially pointing out that the excellent work done by the Heritage Commission over the years, in fact, laid quite a good groundwork for heritage protection in Oak Bay. In fact, they laid the groundwork ahead of the legislation to the point where our current policies are, at this point, basically out of step with current legislation. The legislation came in that no longer talked about anything like mandatory versus voluntary in 1994, whereas our policies were set approximately 1992. So I absolutely wholeheartedly concur with the Heritage Commission and look forward to us having a good, fruitful discussion at the priority sessions.
Thank you very much. Councillor Murdoch, please.
Just first a question. In terms of referring this to the priority session, what exactly are we referring to the priority session? I'm not entirely clear. Is it the only other recommendation I can see in here really is the possibility of setting up a standing committee for housing retention and a couple of other sort of odds and ends. But what would come to the priority session, I guess, is my question. Would it be a collection of all the possible recommendations there, or something specific in this report that we should identify at this time?
Ms. Jensen, please.
I believe the intent of the Heritage Commission was to refer to the priority session for consideration of the recommendations that they lay out in that report. I think that would tie in quite nicely with the other resolution that was provided by Council for staff to come forward with a series of options for Council to consider for improving the efficiencies around heritage retention and heritage issues.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I guess a couple of quick comments, and that would just be to The response in terms of the voluntary versus mandatory, I think I don't think it entirely captured the discussion that happened at the Heritage Foundation. I just thought Commission. I just like to just sort of comment. There was definitely, that was a strong feeling that the terminology was negative, and the broader discussion was, and I think we can all agree on this, is that the Commission would really like to see a more proactive response. So having the municipality take a more proactive role in identifying buildings that should be on the Heritage Register, providing more expertise and so forth to help guide that process from a staffing perspective, whether that's a heritage planner on site or in consultation. But in general, to make this a more positive experience for people who are interested and to take a bit more proactive role. So I don't think it was entirely captured in the report, unfortunately, but I think that was really the genesis of the discussion that happened over multiple meetings at the Heritage Commission. I think those are really important parts to sort of, from our perspective, like we have to decide how we want to move forward with those broader pictures of making this a more positive experience. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, go ahead, please. Councillor Kirby.
So the, what I'm understanding from Councillor Murdoch's comments regarding the discussions at Heritage Committee and the comments we've heard this evening from the public, is that I think what comes from our strategic priority session should be a decision of whether or not we need some more advice from staff or more staff time committed to heritage issues in a general sense, that maybe that's part of the discussion that we need to have it before our budget process, and then hopefully staff will come prepared. If we're referring to this the strategic priority session, that they will come prepared with some recommendations regarding proposals for further staff time or resources that would be committed to that, so that we can deliver to the community those fulfill the expectations.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Ney, please.
Very much. I'd really like to thank the Commission for writing these two letters. They're very helpful, and they demonstrate also the thoughtfulness and commitment that's coming from the Commission. One of the things that I'm very much in favor of moving this forward to our priorities strategic planning group, or time, or session. Thank you very much.
That thingy that we're doing.
But one of the things that's coming forward to me, and I'm seeing it here in these two letters as well, I saw that in the urban forest strategy, is this need for us, for the council, for the staff, for our community, to be thinking holistically all the time. That these two letters make reference to other initiatives underway, like the urban forest strategy. And the urban forest strategy, as we went through that report, brought our attention to how it has implications for infill, for parks, for our infrastructure work that we're doing. So I just bring that up, and I appreciate how they've highlighted and explicated that in their letters. So thank you to them.
Thank you. Any other first-time speakers? If not, Councillor Zelka, please, and go ahead. Second time.
Thank you very much, Chair. So what I'm hoping, personally, what I'm hoping to see at the strategic priority session, which is on Friday, November the 4th, starting at 9 a.m. when the public is invited to attend, is well, of course, this leads into the start of our whole budgeting discussions in terms of what priorities, where do we want to focus our attention, and if we are going to be modifying our existing heritage policy, that will no doubt have an impact on staff and possibly some of our budget aspects. So, for example, just modifying mandatory versus voluntary with respect to the Heritage Register, and modifying and aligning our current policy with the actual sections of the Local Government Act. Just that aspect may be part of the fundamental work recommended in the second suggestion around a contractual agreement with some sort of a heritage planning contractor to assist us to modernize another one of our many bylaws that are slightly out of date. So I do look forward to looking at that. I'm also very interested in this idea of the standing committee to help move forward the ideas of the housing retention report as a way of holistically maybe looking at ways that we can use these heritage funds more effectively. And also from a land use perspective, I do notice that, for example, the BC Building Code allows many of the what some people are considering rather onerous requirements for a brand new house. Once a house has been not just designated, but simply registered, the BC Building Code can, I understand, be relaxed. To get access to money, you have to go to designation, but just simply registration, I understand the BC Building Code can go through some levels of relaxation. So I do look forward to hearing from the experts in terms of what's possible and how we can move this file forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I guess at some point we will hear from the experts, but that's not what the motion is right here. But any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you very much. We have the Heritage Commission minutes from the September 13th meeting, and typically we receive those.
Move receipt.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you. The last item under on this section is number 13, consideration of zoning amendments. We have had a comprehensive report, that streamlining report, and a variety of different approaches and suggestions. This one to do with how what the proposed process changes are was something we discussed and approved at the Committee of the Whole. This is now before us to approve on a formal basis to improve the efficiencies of notification.
Move that council approve the revised process to improve efficiencies for consideration of zoning amendment bylaws.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Yes, go ahead, please. Councillor Zelka.
Thank you very much. I do support the motion and will be voting in favor. I do wish to also point out that with all of these wonderful efficiencies that we're putting in, of course they help the customer of ours who is actually bringing forward, for example, a building permit or a development permit or some sort of a permitting process. So those customers are definitely being helped along. But we have other customers as well who wish to have comment. The person living next door, for example, who may want to have an opportunity to be heard. So one of my concerns with this whole concept of lean approach and reducing red tape and speeding things along and moving things up is to ensure we do not reduce public engagement. So right now, our procedures bylaw only allows 1 business day before for reports and things to be posted before we can have an open council meeting. 1 business day. Very soon, I will be wanting to propose that we change that to 3 business days to account for and maybe assist with the fact that we're speeding things up. So we need to give our members of the public more time.
Thank you.
I won't do this at this time, but I'll.
Yes, that's not part of the motion. Thank you. Discussion anymore? All in favor? Opposed? Not opposed. Thank you. Correspondence upcoming agenda. There are no correspondence in the upcoming agenda. We can skip that one. Thank you. New business and verbal reports. Any new business? New business or other verbal reports, I suppose it comes under that. Go ahead, Councillor Ney, please.
Yeah, I'd just like to announce that the Cenotaph Committee is moving forward and has a planning session this Thursday evening from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And the committee has put invitations out to numerous stakeholders that may have an interest in re-envisioning the design of the Cenotaph space, as has been reported in the Cenotaph report presented to council a few months ago. So we've got invitations out to Heritage Commission, Astronomy Association, Community Association, Legion, Friends of Uplands Park, etc., and numerous community members. So if anybody is interested in attending, they're most welcome. It's here at City Hall. Or if you know somebody who might have an interest in the redesigning of this Cenotaph space, please let them know, and they'd be most welcome.
Thank you very much, and please pass on our thanks to your committee members. It's a very worthwhile committee. And I know you've done a lot of great work, so we look forward to the incremental changes as they move forward. Thank you. Any other reports? Okay, you have one. Go ahead.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Croft.
Thank you, Mayor. Mine's not a report. Mine's actually a request. There is a UVic council liaison session on Friday at 12:30, and I'm just putting this out to my fellow councillors. If there's something that you want me to take forward to that meeting with the community liaison group, I'd be happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Zelka, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. I wish to move a notice of motion. Is this an appropriate time?
Sure.
Thank you
That's
very much. So I wish to move a notice of motion. Whereas
You don't have to read them all out. You can
All
really
right.
just
The
file them,
essence
I
of it.
guess, and tell us what the topic is, and then they'll be filed, Ms. Jones, and ready for the next time.
I will give the topic then, and I'll provide the details after the meeting. The topic has to do with my comments from a few minutes ago, with respect to modifying the procedures bylaw from providing 1 business day's notice to the public for meetings to 3 business days' notice, similarly to what we already do for the advisory planning commissions, bylaw 4647, subsection 7722, where we already provide 3 working days notice for the advisory planning commission. I'd like to see that for all public meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I expect that once you give it to our staff, the staff will have some input when it comes back, and it'll come back on the 14th of November. Thank you very much for that. Anything else? Yes, Councillor Murdoch, please.
I just want to reiterate your comments earlier about people in the community wishing to join commissions and committees. Both the Heritage Foundation and Heritage Commission have a few members that are stepping down after the maximum time on. So just an active call out to anybody who has his interest in history or heritage in the community would be more than welcome. Please put your name in forward. Thank you.
And one of the things I didn't mention is that anyone who's on what I call CBC, so it's a committee, board, or commission, is entitled to wear one of these wonderful Oak Bay leaf pins and get their name in the big book of volunteers. So that's maybe an incentive. I have a report from PUDAC, which is known as the Provincial Urban Deer Advisory Committee. We had a meeting today. I know on a previous occasion, Councillor Zelka had asked the question of what about unused funds? Well, our hope has been dashed. Our unused funds are not put over till the next year. One of the things we worked on today was the application process. And I expect that the communities by the end of this month will be notified about the application notice or application process. And the deadline will be sometime towards the end of November. Those are tentative until we see actually the provincial government coming out with that application form. We won't know the dates for sure. And then the reports and the work and the invoices will have to be submitted before the end of the provincial fiscal, which is probably by about mid-March. The fiscal officially is open, ends at the end of March. So that's a little update on that. Now, yes.
I have a lighthearted update.
Councillor Kirby with lightheartedness.
I just wanted to remark that I am Oak Bay's champion for Walktober, which is a challenge to accumulate 10,000 steps a day. And I'm an easy target. I'm an easy challenger to beat because I sit through meetings like this and I only have 87.93 at this point. So I still have a couple thousand to go before I get home. But I do want to celebrate the fact that we have a walkable community and that thousands of our citizens walk every day and walk downtown to work. And the whole point of Walktober is to encourage people to continue to do that and use walking as a means of transportation and staying healthy, connected to your community and socially, emotionally, and physically healthy. So way to go. Walk On Victoria is the group that started the initiative, and I hope to see it expand every year. And I encourage all of you to consider being a champion next year. and take on that challenge. It's not easy going to bed. I walk around my house a few times sometimes just to get that 10,000 steps, and I'll encourage the public to participate or check it out for next year. If you missed it this year, there's still a week left. You can try 10,000 a day, or save it for next year. It's lots of fun.
Thank you very much. I had a misunderstanding somewhere. I thought I had a whole week to complete the 10,000 by the end of the month. Now I hear it's per day. Oh my. Anyway, thank you for that update, and walk on. We now move to our resolutions. We have the first one relates to the, this was 2280 Estevan. You may recall there was an initial plan for the duplex, and that was changed. This is a request to authorize myself and the Director of Corporate Services to execute the covenant.
Move approval of the execution of a 219 covenant for 2280 Estevan Avenue as provided in the staff report.
Thank you very much. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, call a question. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you very much. We have a bylaw for adoption or for final reading that relates to the property tax exemption. We have a little reminder that it relates to the Scout Hall, the Guide Hall, the Kiwanis Tea Room, and the Oak Bay Lawn Bowling Club, all properties owned by us. And this will exempt the occupants from the tax.
Move
municipal
approval of
tax.
adoption bylaw for 670 property tax exemption.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All in favor? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Just for clarification, this is for 3 years, correct, the way that's worded right now?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
That's correct. Sorry about that. All right. Any further discussion or comments, questions? All in favor? Opposed? None opposed. Thank you very
Move
much.
adjournment.
And
Second.
moved and seconded to adjourn. That's not bad. Quarter to eight. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, staff, because I think a lot of credit goes to the staff for focusing us on the issues. So thank you very much, and thanks everyone for coming. You don't have to do the wave or the cloud.